Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I am taking part in the celebration of Trinity Stamps' third birthday release. I'll be sharing some of the Trinity Stamps stamp stencils and dies from their June release. Don't forget that this video is part of the celebratory Trinity Stamps birthday hop. All you need to do is look down below in the YouTube description box below the video and you'll find the link to the next video in the hop. Leave comments along the way for your chance to win one of two $25 gift cards to Trinity Stamps. But for now, let's just jump into checking out these new fabulous supplies and making some cards. The first stamp set that I want to show you is the Big and Bold Sentiments stamp set. It's a 6x8 stamp set with these really great bold sentiments. You can see that some of them are meant for slimline cards, specifically like the congratulations, but you could cut the happy birthday in half and have it fit on an A2 card. You could also do the I miss you or we miss you or even thinking of you on an A2 card as well. So they really are versatile. This is the Trinity Stamps Slimline paper pad in Rainbow Brights. I love rainbows, you all know that. So this paper pad is absolutely perfect for me. I absolutely love the sunburst pattern, the kind of 3D pattern, and then they have all the colors in dots on one side and diagonal stripes on the other side, and they are 4x9. And you get two of each of the patterns. Next up is this stamp set. It's called It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood stamp set. I loved the little houses. There's a little dog, a mailbox, a hydrant. There is a mail truck and a mail carrier and a little kitty as well. And of course you can get coordinating dies to cut everything out. Next up is the Cake and Candles stencil. This is a 6x9 stencil. So you can do a row of candles horizontally across a slimline card, or you could create this really awesome layered cake with your stencil and inking. It's got the cake platter at the bottom and the flags at the top. I think this next one might be my favorite. It's the Slimline Star Trio panel die. You can see that there are faux stitching around the stars and around the rectangle around the outside. It cuts that rectangle and it also cuts out each of the stars. This is the supporting script sentiments. It's a 4x8 stamp set, and we're going to get right into this with creating with the Slimline Star Trio panel die and holding it in place on one of the rainbow pattern papers so that it cuts exactly where I want. Then I'm just going to flip it over and use some tape runner all around those stars to hold it in place on a white piece of cardstock that I've cut down to match the size of the pattern paper. Then I'm going to use the Yay stamp from that Big and Bold Sentiment stamp, and I'm going to stamp it in 3 different colors and at 3 different angles in those white openings. And this is just a really quick and easy way to create a fun congratulatory card. For the other slimline card that I'm going to create, I'm going to cut it out of white cardstock, that Slimline Trio panel die, and I'm going to cut it out of fun foam, white fun foam twice. Then I'm going to use my heat resistant acetate. It doesn't have to be heat resistant, but this happens to be 8.5 by 11, and I need a panel that's about 3.5 by 8. So I am using this tape runner because the head swivels, which means it goes around the corners of the stars. Since I am creating a shaker card with these fun foam and white cardstock die cuts, I am going to really need to make sure everything stays trapped inside. So this time I'm putting the cardstock on that strip of acetate to create my shaker window, and that will be the very top. Now I'm going to cut down a panel for the bottom, and I'm going to use iCraft Ultra Bond in the pen form again so that I can go right around all of these stars. You want to make sure around the stars that the glue touches each other, that there are no openings or missed spots. The outside is fine to just be dots, but right around the star, you need it to be completely contained. So I'm going to adhere the 2 pieces of fun foam together, and then I'm going to adhere them down to the white cardstock panel on the bottom. And again, same thing. We want to make sure that the shaker goodies stay inside, so the glue has to go all around the stars, which are going to be the shaker openings. So I'm just going to hold that in place, make sure it is straight, everything is straight together. And I actually die cut some stars out of 3 pieces of the pattern paper, and I'm going to just pop those inside the openings here. So I put tape runner on the back and then just flip it over and just punch it right into the part that's die cut there. So very simple to do, and then we'll have 3 different backgrounds. I'm going to use little tiny stars from Pretty Pink Posh inside these shakers. Now, if I just did foam tape around the edge, the minute that I pick up this Slimline card, it's all gonna go down to the bottom, and the top 2 stars are gonna have none inside them. So I decided to do it this way, where you cut the fun foam. That means that each shaker could have its own color, or alternatively, like I'm doing here, they'll all be the same color, but there'll be plenty of shaker goodies inside each star, and one won't just drop to the bottom. So I put tape runner around the window, again, making sure that I trap everything in there and lay it down on top. Now I'm going to take some vellum and a little bit of anti-static powder tool and VersaFine ink, which is a pigment black ink, and I'm going to stamp up the large congratulations stamp with that VersaFine. And then I'm going to put some clear embossing powder on top. Since it's pigment, it will stay wet for a while, allowing you to put that clear embossing powder on top and then heat set it. That's going to make it shiny, a little bit raised, and also make sure it won't smear on the vinyl. I'm going to trim this down so it's like basically a sentiment strip, even though it's a very, very long one. And I'm going to put 1 strip of the tape runner on the back and adhere it down, and you won't see it at all through that vellum there. And that is just another way to use that same Slimline trio of stars panel die. I did want to use the foam squares that I cut out, so I am going to start with the Your Amazing stamp set on a Slimline white piece of cardstock, and I'm using cube inks to stamp up a rainbow of colors on this sentiment here. So once I have that done, I am going to adhere it down to one of the rainbow pattern papers there. I trimmed that white cardstock down a bit so that you could see the rainbow around the outside. Now I'm going to take some tape runner out of the stars that I cut out, and I'm going to adhere them down to the foam stars that were left over from the shaker card. And this is going to give you both dimension and color on those stars. And it's also a way to use up that foam, which I think is great. So you don't want to waste fun foam, and look at how cute those stars look just on their own, even without the stitched background. I think they are so much fun, especially with the Your Amazing stamped in a rainbow of inks at the bottom there. And I really liked having the 2 stars on the outside be that geometric pattern, and then the one in the center is kind of that swoop pattern. And I am using the Ultra Bond to adhere that foam down to the cardstock, giving me a minute to move them around, get them straight, and then they will adhere perfectly. For this next card, I am going to stamp up some of the stamps from It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood stamp set using Gina K's amalgam ink. I'm going to use my Debbie tool from Stamper's Secret to get all of those stamps stamped at the same time, and then I'm going to heat set them because I want to do some Copic coloring. Just really, really basic, nothing fancy, just want to get them colored in and then die cut out using some purple tape to hold them in place. Then I took a couple of the different striped pattern papers in the blue and the green to create my background, like a sky and grass. And then I'm just going to use some tape runner to adhere these little houses down, and the little cat and the dog and the little dog house. So you can see that for the sentiments, I stamped the supporting script sentiments that says just a note to say, and then I combined it with the big and bold sentiments to say hi. And those two work really well together because one is really scripty and pretty and the other one is bold. So those are fun to combine. Then I'm going to use my favorite white gel pen just to add some details and accents to that very basic Copic coloring, just to make it stand out a bit more. Next, I'm going to use the Cake and Candles stencil, and I'm going to use a big piece of purple tape to hold it in place on my Slimline white cardstock and to keep me from accidentally coloring in the cake elements. I'm going to color the candles. Of course, they're going to be a rainbow of inks, and I am using my favorite rainbow of Distress Oxide inks right now, starting with Kitsch Flamingo. Then I went into Wild Honey, and then Squeezed Lemonade, then Mowed Lawn, and then the new Salvaged Patina, which I think is my absolute favorite. Of course, before it was Kitsch Flamingo, but now it's Salvaged Patina. And then just adding a little bit of Wilted Violet at the end. And I'm going to use Squeezed Lemonade to create the flames all along, and then add little hints of Wild Honey just to add some extra to the flames as well. Once the whole thing is ink blended, you can just peel off that stencil, and then I'm going to adhere it down to a rainbow piece of the pattern paper just to give a little hint of rainbow in the background as well. I'm going to stamp the big and bold sentiments in black ink. I'm using the Stamp Market black ink right on top of the ink blending that we did there. And then I'm going to use some Nouveau glitter drops to add some glitter to the flames of those candles. And then finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of Nouveau Crystal glaze to each of the candles to make them dimensional and shiny as well. Really simple birthday card, but so much fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of Trinity Stamps' June release today. Don't forget to comment down below. Just let me know which was your favorite product or which was your favorite card. Then continue through the hop with the link in the YouTube description box below my video. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Hopping along by... It's too many words. Too many words. Some of Trinity Stamps' new supply... Why can't I get this?